We're gonna take a look now at the water typing of the parent. And this I feel, and guys, correct me if you feel the same way, this is probably the easiest parent to pick here because, like you said, Celio, there's just so many dual variants that you can have. And so many monotypings, even in the pre-evolution, that this is probably the best parent to start with.
Exactly. So most players will just end up having a water poison parent or water ghost parent. But yeah, water really feels mandatory.
Yeah, and as you can see here, up at the top, you will see that we have the monotypings that are going to be the top monotypings for you in the water to help you kind of sort that out. Because as much as we love PV Poke and as great as he is providing us everything, some of these restrictions require real intricacies in team buildings and stuff like that. So we have Feraligatr, Castform Rainy, Politoed, Samurott, Sea King, Whalmer XL, Steve, and Blastoise and Vaporeon. Gentlemen, you see these typings. Clearly Feraligatr has, once it got Shadow Claw, has just made itself known as one of the most dominant water typings here. What do you see out of these typings? Who do you like out of these parent typings?
Yeah, Feraligatr is just straight up strong. It's a very good Pokemon. Doesn't love fast, but overall, if it doesn't take fast moves, it can be a menace to deal with. I think it's definitely very good in the meta. Hydro Cannon, in my opinion, is the best move in the game. Paired that with Shadow Claw, which is the best fast move in the game, and you've just got a pure nightmare to deal with right now. I think it's definitely going to be very centric for the meta. It's really going to force people to make adjustments in their other mons based on Feraligatr itself. I think it's definitely a powerhouse to build around.
Absolutely. Feraligatr has access to Crunch to deal neutral damage to fellow water types, almost one-shot ghost monotypes. So Covagrigus is not happy to take Hydro Cannon, but is even less happier to take Crunch in the face. And Crunch is also good, very, very good, because most of the time you will have a debuff and maybe you're gonna be able to Shadow Claw down. It's going to be crucial. Or you can have Ice Beam if you want really to hit grasses very, very, very hard. If you want to get rid of grass in one move, if you really hate those grass poisons, so maybe Ice Beam is the move for you. Or if you want to one-shot Shadow Dragonite, for example, in the mutation slot. But Crunch is already doing a ton of damage to Shadow Dragonite regardless. So probably Hydro Cannon and Crunch is going to be the best move set.
Nice. I like the Politoed. It's one of those defensive Pokemon that I think it's got Weather Ball Water. I would use it as the spammer, not so much as the dominant, but more as the safe swap. Come in, spam off Weather Balls. With the Mud Shot, you got access to Blizzard, Earthquake. With an Elite TM, you can get that going off for the ground poke for the water Pokemon, but it's not a go against the Feraligatr or the Ghost. It's more Politoed is there for if you need that spam Pokemon. I feel the parents are going to be doing a lot of coverage that they're going to have to protect the children and the mutations, and I think Politoed, if it can get those shields off your opponent, is going to give your children or your mutations, whoever else is in the lineup, just so much more access to just put that pressure down.
I think Feraligatr just being so offensive oriented right now, you're going to have to play some really good defense to try and beat those Feraligatr users. So that will, if it gets the Shadow Claw advantage, it's going to be very difficult to come back from that. So, I mean, in my opinion, this opens up a lot of stuff, especially in that children's spot, like a Kingdra, which was good in, I was one of those older battles, you probably remember that, Sosa?
It
was mentioned it before.
It was Zodiac Cup. It was a triple dragon. You could run Kingdra.
Right, but the one like a really, really old meta.
Timeless Cup. Timeless Cup. Oh, the first time when Kingdra got Octazooka and it was so good.
Yes, that.
And it popped off like Scald was. children Pokemon here with this water typing as well. We're talking about Feraligatr being so great. The water typing, if you choose this, you go for that. These children typing that we had talked about earlier, Celio, they're going for days. You've got water ghost if you don't choose a ghost type. You got water poison and Toxapex if you don't want to pick up a poison Pokemon and go down there. Or Tentacruel if you need that Scald. If you need to have that Scald on your team to put so much hurt down on everybody, Tentacruel there is a good option. Now I like the fact that it is water and poison too, because now Tentacruel can play on either which one for you. But having that Pokemon, having that option with these parents or these children, there's so many great opportunities there that you could just cover anything with.
Yeah, Tentacruel seems pretty strong and maybe a little bit obvious children choice, but it's good and it's perfectly okay that some Pokemon are going to be stronger than others. So yeah, definitely Tentacruel, but my mind goes also to Empoleon. Could be a very nice child. Being able to throw Hydro Cannon pretty quickly, and you have a stab, hard-hitting move. Well, not so hard-hitting move, but you are still able to deal some nice damage. You are quicker. You don't have to rely on Waterfall anymore. So, and also you're going to resist Dragon Breath. So if anyone is going to use Kingdra, now Empoleon is actually way stronger against Kingdra, because I think you perform slightly better than when you used to be with Waterfall, because you are still quicker, you still output resisted damage, but now it's not double resisted, because now it's only single resisted. This might be the difference. This might do the difference between before and after Empoleon, especially well in the Kingdra matchup, but in generally now you're going to be even better against Dragonite. You're going to be quicker against fighters. So yeah, Empoleon, really, there is a case to be made that Empoleon might be a very good candidate.
Looking at this meta, do you guys have a favorite child? I mean, Celio, clearly it seems like you've already picked Empoleon as your water typing. Do you have
might be. Yeah, might be.
Brown, would you have an idea of a favorite child already, or somebody you've been looking at?
Can I have two?
You can't. Well,
Okay,
you can
three.
only have one on the team.
Can I pick three? One for each typing? Okay, actually, can I have four? Because I like the childs a lot. The childs are a lot of fun. Because it's like, I want all of them. It's like, I want all the children. So Pokemon, I think, are really good children Pokemon. Are definitely for water typing. I think Kingdra has a lot of play. You maybe find play though with using a dragon in that mutation slot with Shadow Dragon too. There's definitely so much flexibility. It's like there's so many Pokemon I want to play because I think they're just so good in this meta, which means I think you're gonna have a very diverse meta based on people's playstyles, which is are really strong in this meta for the water typing. Are definitely Kingdra. Just overall, it's gonna be very defensive, be able to resist water damage from those water parents, because that's going to be a lot of the basis for their moves. Also, be able to deal with anything mostly in general. It's very defensive. And also, I think with Barrel as well, it's gonna be very defensive as well. Be able to deal with Kofagrigus, Dusclops, Feraligatr, and also doing quite well versus most of the poisons as well. I think that's going to be a very sneaky pick potentially there.
Nice.
Yeah, the key for good children, sorry if I interrupt you, the key for good children is selecting some children that are able to check multiple typings and they make the best out of the resistances and also offensive coverage. So for example, Empoleon resists poison and Bibarel resists ghost. So these kind of Pokemon are the ones you have to look for.
Yeah, well said, gentlemen, and that is why the water Pokemon is going to probably be the easiest parent typing you are going to want to pick when going through this genetic cup, because man, oh man, they have a variety of dual typing. We just heard a couple of good ones, and then you can just go and deep dive down. We didn't even talk about Gallisapod, Ludicolo. There's so many great water dual typings down there. Jellicent, even though it's got that ghost subtyping, it's still a great Pokemon that you can use for your water typing in this meta. So be on the lookout for your water. If this is what the parent type you'd like to do, this is probably going to be the best one out there for you. Now we're going to take a look at the hardest one and what we feel is the most difficult one or has the most restrictions when it comes down to parents. That was some awesome water typing, but we are here with the hardest typing, the limited typing of parents here. As you can see on the PV poke, or on the rankings in the top here, you've got Cofagrigus, Houndstone, Dusclops, Banette, Dusknoir, Misdrevious, and I'm not even gonna say this one because who's bringing Miss Magius to anything? Gentlemen.
Are you encouraging me to bring Miss Magius too?
I absolutely, anytime I say who's going to, you are more than welcome. Show us how it's done. I always feel like any battler in any Pokemon can win any tournament. Depends on a proc, depends on a play, depends on a catch. It is always up to anything. So if you can play that Pokemon, good for, please do it. Show us how it's done. Gentlemen, this is a lot harder than Ghost, and I'm so glad I got you, Celio, because again, we talked about the whole metas earlier. Why Ghost? Why something like this where we have this much restriction?
Yeah, so to be fair, actually, Ghost was the hardest typing for us to, the third typing, because we were pretty sure about water and poison.
Okay.
We needed a third typing, and whatever typing we were going about, it either had too few good monotype choices, or it had no viable children combination. So Ghost seemed to us just a mandatory typing, just because it mixes up with some waters and some poisons, and I think it just mixed synergistically with Gengar for the poison, with Jellicent for the waters, plus it could provide some degree of spiciness with Trevenant, Annihilate. So let's not forget about all these potential ghosts, or partial ghosts, or Sableye is a very valid Pokemon. So yeah, definitely it has some very nice, valid children Pokemon, although the selection of monotypes is pretty scarce. It is not that good, except for Cofagrigus, which stands out really.
Well, that defensive Cofagrigus gives it all that beauty, and it just has the same arsenal as a Sableye, Dark Pulse and a Shadow Ball. You know, you got a Dark Move and a Nuke. So I felt like Cofagrigus is a great one, but if you really, really love Sableye, you must really, really love Sableye if that's gonna be your ghost child. Because to take a hit in the parenting section where you have to either have Cofagrigus or build yourself an XL Dusclops, maybe a Houndstone. Houndstone looks pretty good, and that Psychic Fang with poison flying around could be really helpful in this meta. But those three Pokemon we've seen in GBL battling, you really have to figure out whether or not you want to play with Ghost if you love that child. Like, that's all what I'm getting at here.
I mean, you can always, Dusclops, I think, is also a really valuable pick here as well. I think it's very underrated. It's a Swiss Army knife. You can have Poltergeist, Ice Punch, Shadow Punch, Fire Punch, and my favorite move, Return.
You're right. Dusclops it's got that tank. It has a wide variety. It's the Hypno. It's back to a utility Pokemon. But the thing about Dusclops is the accessibility, and do battlers have the resources to build one? I had the resources to build a Shadow one, and I got really excited to build play my Shadow Dusclops But Shadow Ghosts are not allowed. So I was like, man.
I have Shadow, Return, and I can easily build normal. I'd say Dusclops has pretty good resources for it. You know, for the most part, if you're I'd say you'd probably have the resources for it. Whether or not you have all three and are a Dusclops nerd like me, maybe not.
Looking at the Children of Ghosts, there are so many great ones. We've talked about Sableye. You mentioned Trevenant and that
Annihilate.
And Annihilate, the counter user. Yeah, those. The Trevenant, the trying to get grass. It seems like Children might be a way to like pull the anti-parenting move here too. And I feel like Ghost, like you have to really love that Ghost Pokemon. And I think a lot of people do love a Trevenant and do love an Annihilate. And I think Ghosts definitely have more of a fandom when it comes down to battling with these Pokemon, that people will want to bring out Gengar, they will want to bring out Haunter or Trevenant or Annihilate because they have that access to it. And so I feel like Ghost will make a play for a lot of battlers who do, like battlers such as brownballer, who do have 4 different Dusclops or who do love their Cofagrigus. Even though
Sableye a lot for the children of this meta is the Ghost that beats the Ghosts. I think Annihilate definitely has a lot of play, especially having that access to Night Slash, which is going to be able to hit Ghosts back quite quickly, but obviously having those counters being resisted. So I don't think it's in as bad of a spot as, say, some other counter users might be, like Toxicroak or Poliwrath.
But I think that counter is going to help you a lot better with Feraligatr rather than Shadow Claw when it comes down to putting down some damage there.
I mean, you won't have as much. You'll have similar pacing, but you'll actually pace a little bit slower than Feraligatr. But I'm always a Shadow Claw lover.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking on pacing or what's a better move. I'm talking about the actual damage usage. Like the actual damage counter is going to be such a hard-hitting move to those waters, rather than a Shadow Claw that's not going to take as much damage, not going to do as much damage.
Well, you have to also remember you'll be taking super effective Shadow Claws right back, so it may not be. It may not be as.
Feraligatr was a bad choice. A water Pokemon. I just mean any water Pokemon out there. Counter is going to be doing more damage, and it's also got. You could probably go. I would say Night Slash Ice Punch would probably be the way to go in this meta because you can farm up quicker. You can protect yourself. You can be your protector against all the grass Pokemon that are going to be trying to come out for those really strong water Pokemon. If that's how you're going to play your Ghost Pokemon, your Ghost Child, if you want it like that. Again, you have to love your Ghost. I feel like you have to love your Ghost Pokemon Child in order to really use this typing. And that is just something that I appreciate because as a Spice person, as someone who loves playing with Pokemon, yeah, I'm going to bring out Annihilate. I'll definitely bring out Kofa and Annihilate or Dusclops and Annihilate. I think that two-core right there will be super fun.
Yeah, I think you are making a good point because there are some very interesting Ghost Children you can use and can help you protect your team against this or that threat. It can help you diversify your coverage, your offensive coverage, your defensive coverage. But unfortunately, monotype and Ghost monotypes aren't that great in this meta. At least from this perspective right now, before we are seeing the actual usage. So if you really want to use Sableye or Annihilate, this counts with reliability. This counts with a Pokemon that most likely you won't be able to use almost at all, like Cofagrigus. If everyone is going to use Feraligatr, any of your Ghost monotypes is going to have a tough time.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that is the Ghost. That's the hardest one. Let's get down to the second one you guys chose, that Poison typing, because I feel like Poison is going to give you the coverage on both the water and the Ghost. All right, we got the real easy one out the way. We got the real difficult one out the way. Let's take a look at these Poisons. And as you can see, they got a little more mono Pokemon that are available for us to pick, and some good mono Pokemon for us to pick too. Like this is the real typing here, the one that we're all gonna really want to use, but maybe not so much.
Yeah, the poison typing definitely. I mean, it's not like super like stand out like anything's like incredibly meta breaking, but it feels really. It feels like it has a good play into, you know, especially with Mach having Thunder Punch and to be able to hit waters, but also its subtypings are very very diverse, like having grass poison, having dark poison, having bug poison with the having drill run B drill. Definitely a lot of very very interesting mons here.
So if you have a favorite poison parent to share with us.
I do. I have the Muck. I think Muck is going to be one of the best ones, but I built a Grimer, so I'm going to run my own Grimer for personal use because it has the ground typing to go against the poison types, and it's got that sludge, it's got good coverage, it's thicker. I feel like my Grimer XL is going to be better, but I've been coming across Mucks, and they've just been whooping me in any practice I've come across.
And also, remember, like, if you pick Muck as your parent typing, can you use I don't believe you can use Alolan Muck as your children, but or you can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
You can have double Muck.
You can have double Muck.
Oh my gosh! Where has this? Wait, has this been eligible in any other meta?
Yeah. Mucks,
Oh, it has? Double Muck?
Double variations. I mean, we've seen 18 Tails teams. We've seen 9 Tails both versions. Muck has just not been a strong Pokemon to use, and Alolan Muck got real nerfed when everybody started getting Drill Run. So, like, that's why Poisons haven't come out. But
so you can run double Muck.
What you can't run is Muck, Dark Muck, or Alolan Muck, and Shadow any of those Mucks, because just none of those can be Shadow. None of those Mucks can be Shadow, but you could definitely have a Muck and an Alolan Muck, but you cannot have 3. You can't even put a Grimer on there, an Alolan Grimer if you wanted to, or not. But
yeah. So for DevonCorps and Gene Breakers settings as well, you can use the counter and the Galarian version of some or the Alolan version of something, because despite them sharing the same dex entry, they have different typing. So for example, you can't use Oinkologne male and female in the same team, but you can use Kanto and Galarian Slowbro in Sovereign. You could use it, or you can use Kanto Muck and Alolan Muck.
awesome.
But if you have any doubts, maybe you can just run Drapion instead of Alolan Muck, and you're still covered with the Poison Dark without having to worry about potential bans or something. But but I guarantee you can use double Muck if you want.
Ooh, let's go. I know a few people that'll be incredibly happy about hearing that. I know a few Mach fans.
Celia, what parent are you looking at?
Well, I think for now, Kanto Muck looks pretty obvious choice, just because it has access to super effective coverage against all the other 2 parent typing. So Thunder Punch and Dark Pulse. And if you really feel spicy, you can even have Muck with Lick. It's a legacy move, but it might be very fun to farm a Cofagrigus down. But I haven't said that. So I'll leave you guys to the final decision on whether to run it. But it is a viable choice. It might be fun.
Viable choice. This sounds hyper meta to me.
I'm ready for some brown baller right now.
I'm all down for this. Also, just think, the opposing Muck, when you get in the Muck mirror, you'll resist their poison jabs, but they won't resist your licks. It is time for licked Muck.
I love doing these because we always bring some real good fun spice to every meta. We had the Bullet Seed Shiftry, we were talking about Brion, now we're talking Lick Muck. Get out of here, this is amazing.
Well, definitely Drapion. I think Drapion is going to be pretty mandatory. Of course, it's not really spicy. It's just a pretty meta choice. but it's able to provide some resistance against Sableye, although the matchup is actually pretty neutral. But you completely dump Cofagrigus of the Ghost monotypes. You output neutral damage on everything if you have Crunch and Sludge Bomb. I think the Aqua Tail is not really needed because most of the time you really are gonna be using Crunch or Sludge Bomb just against bulkier Pokemons. You want to use Sludge Bomb, but other Poison Children besides the Tentacruel one, which is still Poison Children. I have to think about it, but I wouldn't mind. Well, I'm an Ariados fan, and Ariados learns Shadow Sneak, and you might not need cross poison at all in this meta. So maybe Lunge and Shadow Sneak might be a nice combination.
What about Trailblaze for the water types?
Or Trade Blaze, of course. I was thinking about Shadow Sneak just in case people massively ran Cofagrigus, but we don't know that yet. But if Cofagrigus disappears from the meta, Lunge and Trade Blaze seems a really vicious moveset, and it might just pay its dividends.
I didn't even think about Ariados. I was looking at grass the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, give me my Venusaur. Let me get Victory Bell out here. Let's go.
Yep. That's what I saw when I first saw. I was like, I think Venusaur beats actually does non-shadow Venusaur beat Cofagrigus in the ones? I'm pretty sure it does. I think it just paces a little bit faster. Okay. I think Venusaur's bonkers in this meta. Beats the grass, does very well versus the ghost. Your biggest weakness is the poisons. It's also going to depend on what subtypings your opponents bring. Yeah, those mutations I think could definitely hamper the Venusaur for sure. But overall, just in beating a lot of these mons, I think Venusaur's going to be super strong. And then also, yeah, as you just mentioned it, my good friend Victory Bell. Unfortunately, the Shadow is not allowed, which I guess I'll have to send an email to Devon asking, please unban Shadow Victory Bell or just make the one exception, because I like Shadow Victory Bell. I think it's really fun. I enjoy it a lot, but I understand why it's banned. But hey, I still have normal Victory Bell, which is really fun as well, especially if it's newly buffed Magical Leaf. Like, it's going to do very well versus the waters and just be very offensive in general. Like, who's ever shielded a Victory Bell? I've never seen anybody ever shield a Victory Bell before.
Well, that's because no one's really had an opportunity to, because Victory Bell took forever to get to its charge moves with Razor Leaf. Now with the new Magical Leaf, Victory Bell can actually get the Sludge Bomb, which is incredible. You can actually put Sludge Bomb on it and get to it safely.
Wait, why would you run Sludge Bomb over Acid Spray? Acid Spray is more fun.
But I'm just saying you can finally get to it. Yes, you go with the Acid Spray if you like it, because that debuff, I've noticed some things in all of these Devons, and the debuffing has now become a really big play in a lot of these metas and a lot of these matchups.
I believe, I envision Dravion to be a central Pokemon, a central child in many teams.
Okay.
Because the crunch spam, there are few dark types around. The only dark types that you can have are either Sableye or Spiritomb, if you really want it, if you really want to use it, or Greninja.
Celia, you guys have really done a great job here. Like, and this is just the first 4 slots. We haven't even gotten to the mutations. Like, oh my god, we've burnt 40 minutes talking about these 3 typings that are just, again, you guys come up with these great intellectual metas that don't feel stale. I've been doing tournaments every month, one at the beginning, one at the end, and I've not had a stale meta where I brought in the same thing at both of the metas. Like, it has been absolutely wonderful to play this, and you guys really do take that time and pulling these out, these parent Pokemon. Even Swalot can play. Nidorino has Poison Fang. Nidorina has Dig. Like, there are so many great thought process here that you guys are giving us. And like I said before, I get really bored when you can't, it's only the 12 Pokemon and that's it. We can reach now. And as Brown said, the parents aren't the centric. So you could go and get yourself a Nidorino if you have one built and play with that, because that's not going to be your main go for. That's going to be your protector.
Yeah,
so this is
Swallow got
beautiful.
Yeah, Swallow got Mudshot. So like, I mean, I know Mudshot's not going to do a bunch of damage, but I mean, having access to that ground move may come in handy for farming down the opposing, just in general. Because I mean, that's with ground being banned, nothing will hit Drapions or their Dark Poisons for stab super effective. They'll be able to hit force super effective with a ground move, but it won't be, you know, have that same attack bonus for those typings.
Yeah, and before we go to the mutations, I think some recognition should be given to Thunderbolt Nidorina, because it might be a very nice option. Maybe so you can have it with a bait move, or you can have it with a brownballer's favorite move, return.
Return and
Return!
Oh my God! So hold up. Are we? We're gonna see so many. We're gonna see a Lick Muck. We're gonna get a Thunderbolt Nidorino meta. It's gonna be insane. Like, this is what I love about you guys building these metas. You have so much variety. You give us battlers so much fun to play with. Oh my God, Thunderbolt!
Yeah, the more you reason about the picks, the more hidden gems you are going to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
I really like how the metas definitely aren't gonna be stale. Like, if I wanted stale, I would just go downstairs to my kitchen and open up a loaf of bread and eat that.
Mate, get fresh bread, please. Don't have stale, moldy bread in your house.
It's for my friends.
Oh.
They have to eat something. I mean, I want the good bread. I give them the stale bread because I'm so kind.
That is how we're gonna end all the parent typings. Gentlemen, we talked about all three. Clearly, we have some thoughts about it. Just from what we've talked about, what one typing are you going to want to make sure you have on your team? We'll start with you, Celio. Which one do you want to make sure you have on your team?
Well, I definitely want to have water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least one water type.
At least one water type? Okay.
That's a hard answer. Realistically, when I built my first team, I was like, I don't know. I think it's just could change depending on the day of the week, to be honest. I think now, I mean, the clear and obvious answer might be water. But realistically, if everybody's got so much water on their team, those water moves aren't going to be that great. So, I mean, like, maybe it's not having water, because water seems like the obvious choice. Or water could be the obvious choice, and you do go with the obvious choice. So, I mean, it's, you know, one of those weird scenarios there where something could be so obvious that it could be incorrect. Or it could be so obvious that you're just overthinking yourself and just do the obvious thing.
I think you're both right. I think water is going to be so obvious. I'm going to say poison. And the reason I'm going to say poison is because I'm really loving Muck. The idea that Muck as your parent really has that thunder punch to hit all of those waters that we are just saying going to be very dominant in this meta. I think that poison is going to give more variety against the both grass or both ghost and water type Pokemon, and just having Muck alone as my parent, one of my Pokemon, is going to be so good just looking at the parent size. That's going to wrap up the typings portions of the genetics meta. Hopefully this helped you, the battler, get a good idea on how to strategically build your team and maybe give you some good ideas of what's out there, because those rankings are going to be all over the place. You're not really going to know how to grab what you think you should work. This meta is going to be super intricate. So hopefully this video here has helped you find some good Pokemon that you can start with as you build for your winnings of genetics meta. thank you to CLeonardo and for brownballer for joining me today. Be sure to follow all of their content. There will be links down below. CLeonardo is one of the meta developers over at DevonCorp, so we are so grateful for what they're bringing us this meta and how exciting it's been. We didn't even get to talk about the mutations. That's how intricate this meta is. That's how long this video is. It's so great. So thank you to all of the DevonCorps GG developers for making such a great and fun meta. And thank you, Celio, for joining me and brownballer for giving us the understanding of what this meta is about, because genetics is going to be insane. So good luck out there to you, battler, and you trainers that are trying to get into the fighting scene. This is going to be a really, really fun one. If you are looking for practice, the Flash for Everyone Discord is available for your tourney practices, and those TOs are trained and properly vetted to handle genetics. It's going to be really interesting during those times, during the during the tournaments, whether it's in person or remote, to make sure everybody's got a full proper team. Dracovic has great utilities, but might not catch everything. So TOs are going to have to be on point. And the Flash for Everyone TOs have been training for the last week and a half and are on point. So if you need that practice, Flash for Everyone is where you want to be. Thank you all for watching the Poke Battle Network. I am SosaFlo, and like always, keep on battling.